Hazard pay is back on, baby. Hazard pay is in the third stimulus check package. The $1,400 third stimulus check package has hazard pay. Not the type of hazard pay you would have wished for in 2020, but it's still there. It's $1,500 as an earned income tax credit if you made less than $25,000 2020 earnings. And there you go. But will we ever see the return of that $10,000 hazard pay from 2020? Who's an essential worker? How do you calculate it? What was it based upon? In this throwback video on Overnight's LALATE, I explain the idea of hazard pay, how you get hazard pay, who are essential workers, and how you calculate it. Enjoy this Overnight's LALATE video on hazard pay. The fight for hazard pay heats up as viewers ask if Mark Meadows is an essential worker. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Afternoon LALATE. Hope you're good and safe. This is Wednesday afternoon for Afternoons LALATE. Every day at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. Starts with a check, then goes to hazard pay, next FPUC, and finally rent assistance. I hope your day is going well. It's been a really screwy day that started with great news from the Republicans about progress on the second stimulus package that includes the check, hazard pay, FPUC, and rent assistance. And then the train, the hot mess express, sort of came to a screeching halt when Nancy Pelosi gave a strange statement minutes ago. Let me tell you why this is all so important for purposes of hazard pay. Hazard pay, as you know, is that $10,000 program that gives $10,000 to essential workers who worked during the pandemic from January up to the present. Its calculation is very simple. You take the number of hours you worked in January up to the present as an essential worker. More about that in a second. Times those number of hours by $13 an hour and you get a number. You include both overtime, part-time, full-time, any type of work that you did. You include the work, whether you've been laid off, fired, terminated, early retirement, anything and all that. It's a lot of money, and your valuation, your contribution to this pandemic is highly valued. The way you get the calculation then is then look at your 2019 earnings for that job. If you work that job on your tax return in 2019 and generated more than $100,000, you will get a $5,000 lump sum check as your plateau, as your threshold. If you worked on your 2019 tax return in that essential job and made less than $100,000, you'll get a $10,000 lump sum check. It's a lot of money. It's a lump sum check. If you're at that threshold, it would land right in your bank account. If you're not at that threshold, you will get a lump sum for where you're at, and then going forward, you would get $13 an hour. Now, the way it would be generated and the way it would be processed is the following. Under the plan, the HEROES Act, which includes the HEROES Fund, if you don't know, there's a foghorn that's going to be interrupting today's broadcast. And it interrupts exactly when I'm trying to make my point. So enjoy the foghorn. The way you would get the money is that your employer shall apply for hazard pay. They would not be required to apply for hazard pay. It is currently not law. There's no application form for it. You could not apply for it. The employer shall apply for it. If the employer doesn't apply for it, you have no recourse against the employer. Yes, all those things that the foghorns didn't want you to hear are the worst part of the hazard pay bill, that it ultimately puts the discretion on getting hazard pay in the hands of a boss that may or may not like you. But it's a lot of money. Now, there are counter plans to the hazard pay, like the Romney plan, that requires the employer to apply for hazard pay, requires them to get the money for you, and pays the employer to do that for you. So when this was debuted to the Senate in May in the HEROES Act from the Democrats in the House, the Republicans received it, and then they said nothing about it. So 2 weeks ago, they introduced their second stimulus package, which it's just like a pamphlet. It's, I've seen napkins that are thicker than their bill. It has nothing in there, and it certainly did not have hazard pay in there. So everyone was like, oh, there's no hazard pay. I'm like, calm down. There's nothing in the bill. It's just, I don't even know the bill's side. I mean, was it written with crayons? I just don't know. I'm not being a dig on any party. I'm just telling you it's a bad bill. It's a crap bill. Even the Republicans have agreed it's a crap bill. Whether you're Romney or Rubio, everyone said it was a crap bill. Even McConnell has now said it today. He said it's a crap bill. So there was no hazard pay in there. So next, those wonderful people, Mark Meadows, Steve Mnuchin, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer started to have lunch every day for a total of like 2 hours. It's so much work for them, 2 hours, isn't it? And they would meet for 2 hours, and they negotiate, and they come out, and they negotiate, and they come out. Well, they would tell us updates about hazard pay, and we wouldn't know its future. And we wouldn't know if it had lasted in the negotiations or it didn't. And this Monday, we had really great news. I had that in front of me. This last Monday, Steve Mnuchin sat on CNBC and said, I have all these agreements with Nancy about everything except one thing. Bailout to states, which has nothing to do with hazard pay. So it was an hallelujah moment for all my hazard pay viewers. Steve Mnuchin implied that he had an agreement for everything but hazard pay. And he actually went through a list of things he did have an agreement on. It included food stamps. It included food for people. It included testing. It included schools. It was great news. So clearly hazard pay was going to be coming to you once this bill gets signed, which is anytime, very soon. And then today, everything went screwy. I can't. Nancy Pelosi minutes ago came out and said, no, I didn't have an agreement with Steve. I did not have agreement with Steve Mnuchin on this. And my mouth just sort of dropped. Okay, we're doing this again, Nancy. So she came out and she said, I did not have a deal with Steve Mnuchin on food stamps. I did not have a deal with Steve Mnuchin on this. I did not have a deal with Steve Mnuchin on this. So now, do we sit here and bite our teeth because we're like, hazard pay is now in trouble again? Don't know. I mean, literally these people cannot give us a complete briefing. Nancy Pelosi last Friday gave us a briefing of the negotiation progress she had reached before she left the room in a written memo. Hazard pay is not mentioned in there. So we didn't know if hazard pay is going to exist, but Steve Mnuchin on Monday said they wanted some more money for food. We didn't have money in there, so we gave them more money. Well, that's what he said then. On Monday, well, Nancy came out today and said, no, they offered nothing initially, Nancy said. Then they offered us $200 million for the entire country. I mean, not for a city, for the entire country, $200 million. She said, we're asking for $2 billion for food for people who cannot afford food. Now, Steve Mnuchin on Monday said we split it halfway. When there was agreement, this is exact words, when there was agreement on the terms, we split halfway, we met down the middle. Well, halfway in $2 billion for food stamps is not $100 million. So who's telling the truth? Don't hit the reporter. Don't smack the reporter. I'm reporting what he says. I'm reporting what she says. I'm trying to read tea leaves. I'm trying to tell you the updates. I'm trying to tell you the progress. The progress currently is the following. We know the following statements are untrue. They have left town. Untrue. They're still in town. They are gone until September. Untrue. They're still in town. Third, they're not going to do anything to September. Also untrue. There's an agreement between Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, which again, you could say, who cares about the agreements? They don't follow anything. I got it. But there's agreement between the two of them to stay in town to get this done, and that they want to go home to their home state because they're so loved there. No, actually, Mitch is not wanted back into Kentucky this week. If they want to go back home, then they will return to vote on the Senate floor within a 24-hour notice. They're ordered to come back. That's the agreement, whether you're in the House or the Senate. Fourth, there is a vote set up in September to do the second stimulus check. Also untrue. There's so much untrue reporting out there. There's a vote set up for September. Then there's another set of reports that say they're not going to do anything to September. Also untrue. They're doing something right now. They're on the Senate floor. Schumer and McConnell are haggling. McConnell is telling everyone to get the deal done. I can run McConnell's quotes over and over from this morning. He's saying, get in the room and get it done. Nancy's in town, Steve is in town, and she's basically saying, I'm not going into that room unless you carry me over the threshold. Something. So this entire thing that everything is teed up for September, totally untrue. Totally untrue. So if your sister's brother's uncle's nephew's sister is telling you to go believe that, ignore your sister's brother's uncle's nephew's brother, or whoever it was, and stay with me. Hazard pay then. Well, when would you get hazard pay? Now, I got to tell you, hazard pay seems to be, I don't want to say this disrespectfully, but hazard pay seems to be like that golden egg I can see in some of the comments. I have been hit up and emailed and IG'd and DM'd and everything. Is like, I walked my neighbor's dog last month. Can I get $10,000? I flipped some pancakes for Mitch McConnell on Saturday. Can I get some $10,000? And so I'm getting a lot of that. I mean, please back it up. Back it up. There's a door behind you. Back it up. You know what an essential worker is, and you know what's not an essential worker. If you don't know the gray area, let me go over the gray area for you. And before I get to that, someone asked me a really, really great question. I want to do this right now. Where can you personally read the line item for essential workers? And don't tell me to start posting links, because once I do that and they say I can't find the link and the link didn't work, you just go on Google and you can Google the HEROES Act. Don't tell me to Google things for you. You can Google the HEROES Act, and there's actually a PDF. It's about 55 pages long, 65 pages long. At page 45 starts the definition of essential workers. It's line by line by line. And those essential workers are people who work in the following industries: aerospace, shipping, deliveries, drivers, Uber, Lyft, truck drivers, food delivery, Uber's Eats, Grubhub, all that. Grocery stores, convenience stores, which includes liquor stores, grocery stores, supermarkets. And when I say the business, I mean literally everyone in the business. I don't mean just, one person. I mean everyone in the business. Anything medical. Anyone in the building that is medical. If you're the check-in person at the front door that has a pen and paper and you do nothing medical but check people in, the foghorn doesn't like that. Well, I don't care. You're essential. Everyone is essential in those job places. Security guards, maintenance people, public servants, everything for home health care, child care, child services, social services, all those things, everything that you think is in the context of what I'm saying, absolutely. If you are out to left field from where, not you, if your classification is so dramatically different than everything I'm saying, it's likely I'm not saying it because it's not essential. Examples of things that are not essential: car mechanics, construction workers, electricians just per se. Now, if you're a maintenance worker, that's different. Accountants, attorneys, all those things that you may think are essential were not essential, and they're delineated in the HEROES Act. A lot of people that have been doing this thing that says, my mom says I'm essential. God bless your mom, but she's not writing the bill. My neighbor said I'm essential, or my boss said I'm essential. Don't ask your boss if you're essential. Read the darn bill or listen to my videos. As we get closer, I'm going to do this again. I'm going to pull out the bill. I do it about once every week. I'm not going to repeat the video every single day, but I've done that video about 5 times so far where I actually go through the bill. We're so not at the point of getting this bill signed today that I'm not going to do the video yet. And when the bill becomes law, then what you have to understand is that hazard pay doesn't start paying the next morning. The employer has to go out and apply for hazard pay, get that money from the federal government, and send it to you. So how fast could we see hazard pay as a law come into fruition? We could literally see it come into law within a 72-hour turnaround. First, Nancy and Chuck could go into, not Nancy and Chuck, Nancy and Steve could go in that room and reach an agreement tomorrow morning. Anytime that Nancy and Steve go into that room and reach an agreement, their part of the deal is done. Then it takes 1 day for the House to vote on the bill, 1 day for the Senate to vote on the bill, and 1 day for the President to vote the bill. And all that can be done faster than 1 day. But that's 3 days plus Nancy and Steve 4 days. Then at that point, it would become law. It's that fast. So really great news. So if anyone's sitting back and telling you, there's nothing happening to September, stop telling us anything because there's nothing happening in September. Well, guess what? There is something happening before September. And go to someone else and have your donut and enjoy your afternoon. I'm wearing a pink shirt. This is not the same shirt I wore yesterday. But as one person jumped in the comments, they said, why does he wear so many shirts and so many videos? Because I record 7 videos a day. There you go. And I'm not changing the shirt 7 times in 7 minutes. So I appreciate your criticism about the shirt or the hair or whatever it is or the foghorn. But when it comes to the reporting, oh no, you're not going to top me on that one. I am literally I'm on stalker mode with Nancy and Steve, if you're not realizing. I'm on stalker mode. And Mark Meadows, I really don't care about at this point because if you saw the earlier story, he's really the cause of why the negotiations have gone awry. But what I ask you to do is go to the front of this channel. There's a subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button and that alert button because these things are happening literally by the minute. These people are not telling us when they are in the room. So they literally could be in the room today and we just don't know it. And they're saying on purpose that they're not telling us because they don't want us to know. Who would be surprised? Viewers have also said, hey, LALATE, I'm not getting alerts when a new video goes live. So if you don't get an alert when a new video goes live, drop it in the comments to this video if you're not getting alerts when a new video goes live and you are subscribing and you have set the alert to this channel. And I will drop you a link to an instruction from YouTube about how you put your account on public. It may not be set up right. And I can watch then if you're subscribing correctly. Great afternoon it is so far, with the exception of a foghorn, but we always have to have something different. Maybe they can send me some chicken and waffles on the next set. Coming up next is FPUC. The Hot Mess Express is really, please stay with that FPUC story because that is really all over the place. It has not been well watched the last 2 days, and that is the story that's changed the most. So please watch that because I have a real big bombshell about that coming up. And then Rent Assistance finally evening to LALATE tonight. As always, stay inspired, stay motivated, stay positive, stay smiling, and stay of LA for more.